Hello class, this is Dr. Medi and I'd like to welcome you to week 3. Of course in Canvas it'll say module 3, same difference. This week what we're looking at is chapter 7 and 8 in the text. So for chapter 7 what we're looking at is individual and group decision making. How do managers make things happen? So looking at decision making, rational decision making, irrational decision making, the importance of alternatives. Once you implement the solution you've chosen, what is it you need to do? How do you make sure that that's the best solution for the problem? And then also looking at making ethical decisions. These are also important as well because you're still going through the process of either rational or irrational decision making. So evidence-based decision making comes into play. Big data, how do we use it to determine and how to make a decision? There's 4 general decision-making styles we're going to look at, and we're going to give you the opportunity to determine what style you have. How do you overcome barriers to decision-making? Some people can't make a decision for beans. You know yourself. You ask people, where would you like to go eat? Oh, I don't know. I mean, something as simple as that, people don't want to make a decision. One other thing that you get involved in decision making is group decision making. So we'll talk about things like group think. Oh boy, when people are in a group and they just do what the rest of the group does just because they don't want the hassle. So there are advantages and disadvantages of group decision making. There's also problem solving techniques. How do you get to consensus in a group? And again, as I said before, these chapters will end with key terms used, key points, understanding the chapter. These 3 sections are what you'll see in the match games. And information comes from them for the match games and for the discussion board questions. So that's chapter 7. We go to chapter 8, and now we're starting to look at the culture of the organization, which is key. Culture, structure. These types of things are so important, and an organization has to align the 3 items: strategy, culture, and structure. The 3 levels of organizational culture will be discussed. The 4 types of organizational culture will be discussed. And how employees learn culture. How do you get an idea of the culture of the organization? What is it that makes you familiar with the culture? What makes you comfortable? What does it mean to fit in the culture? And then the process of culture change. How do you change the culture? Don't forget, the organizational culture is not necessarily a good thing. It can be a bad thing, right? How do what do you put in place to make sure that you change the culture to the way it needs to be? And then we'll look at the organizational structure. There are 3 types of structure, and there's also an org chart. There are major elements of an organization that we're going to look at, as well as the basic types of organizational structure. And you've probably seen these in some companies that you've worked for. They go from simple to functional, divisional, matrix. You've heard of a tall and a short structure as far as the level of managers that are within that structure. So all these things are part of what we're going to look at in chapter 8. And then if you're trying to create the best structure, what 3 factors do you have to look at when you're trying to design the organization structure? We're going to talk about these things as well in chapter 8. So for week 3, module 3, we've got chapters 7 and 8. Read the book, listen to the lecture, or read the chapters rather, listen to the lectures for those chapters, do the match games, do the discussion board, and prepare for the exam because next week is your first exam. This is the midterm exam in week 4. This is Dr. Medi signing off. As always, let me know if you need anything. Talk to you soon.